Hey guys, welcome back to Mediocre Painting with me, Wayne, at the HardKnoxGames YouTube channel. We're going to be doing our unboxing of the Hasbro Pulse Hero Quest reissue that just came out. For those that don't know, Hero Quest originally came out around 1989, 1990. It was a collaboration between Milton Bradley and Games Workshop for a board game. This was my first introduction to Games Workshop minis and really miniature games in general was Hero Quest. And this is before I even got into D&D. This was like my gateway drug to Dungeons and Dragons was this game. And this is my original box that my mom bought for me from the Walmart circa 1990. This got some age on it. It's got some dust. This is the new box that Hasbro just reissued, not in collaboration with Games Workshop. So I can already tell by the box art on the back and some of the miniatures that there is definitely going to be some things that are no longer present in this game that are going to make me very sad. I'm probably going to be a little biased against this whenever we get into it. So take whatever I say with a grain of sand. It's supposed to be a grain of salt. I'm going to see what's cool, what's not, what's improved of Hero Quest ever that I've collected in my adult years trying to buy my childhood back. Rulebook. Kind of small like the old one. Quest book. This has your missions in it. Each adventure has a little breakdown. This gives the background on your character because it's literally the exact same page. So yeah, it's just a cut and paste with a little bit, better full color art on this. Zargon screen and the board. That is literally the exact same board. Let's do a Vanna White side by side. Yeah, that new board is definitely bigger. Old 1990 DM screen, or excuse me, Zargon screen versus the new one. They're pretty much identically shaped. So this is the old original. This is the new one. Pretty much the exact same. But I'll tell you what's conspicuously absent from their box so far is the big armory sheet that says what your dudes can buy and had the quick reference to what all the identifications of the old things, unless it's hidden in here somewhere, which I'm not seeing it. This was super cool back in the day. Because between quests, your hero could go, and if you found gold or treasure during the quest, you could buy better weapons and equipment from the armory between quests. Old rule book, new rule book. Obviously, the new rule book's got much cooler, 4-color than the old, brown and sepia rule book. There's something charming about this old book. This feels very corporate. Old quest book, new quest book. Fire burns warmly, but casts little light in the mentor study. The fire burns warmly, but casts little light in the mentor study. So yeah, it's the same. And now we're going to take a look at the miniatures. So first thing I want to look at is these dice. These are the movement dice for the game. It was 2 red D6s. These are some standard cheap plastic red dice. The old game gave us these nice little wood dice with gold on them. I lost one of them over the years, so I replaced it with this little 12mm cheap red dice. But the original game had these wood red D6s, and all the dice were actually made these little wood blocks in the old game. So they obviously went to a plastic dice as opposed to the little wooden rounded edge dice that they used to have. Good change or bad change now, I don't know. I like the little wooden dice. They felt kind of rustic. So let's get into the minis. Start with the 4 main heroes. So we got Barbarian, Dwarf, Elf, and Wizard. First impressions, the sculpts are pretty cool, pretty dynamic. They're on circular bases now as opposed to square. Second impressions is we've got soft flexi plastic, which I am not a fan of because this stuff gets really temperature sensitive, as you can tell by our elf here with his curled sword right out of the box. So this is the same plastic that they make the WizKids minis out of. I'm going to say I don't like it because I don't like fighting with heat guns trying to keep these swords from looking like they're having issues. The face quality hasn't improved on Dwarf here. The detail's pretty good on the models. Now the old minis, hard plastic. So if I bend that sword, it got a little wobble to it, but it don't flex like that. But I mean, obviously the new barbarian's been eating his Wheaties, drinking his milk, because he's much bigger. I like that they kept the posing. This is one of the old goblins. This is the new one. The new ones are very Dungeons and Dragons, whereas these are very obviously early 90s Games Workshop style goblins because they look almost identical to the Gretchen that were in 40K at the time. Obviously, they had to change that. New goblin looks way cooler. Flexi plastic. I mean, this stuff is super soft. I do not like flexible plastic. Face looks pretty good, though. So monster face looks good on that guy. I think what I like about all of these is they kept the same color scheme, like the green monsters and the white monsters. The reds were the heroes. Like that's pretty cool. The gargoyle. I don't know if he's called a gargoyle in the new one or not, but that's what he was in the old one. Gargoyle. That's a cool model. That's a nice improvement. This fellow they called a gargoyle was based on the old little bloodthirster from Warhammer Fantasy, so they definitely had to change him up. And the next big change was they have replaced the Famir with some sort of Fishman Sagwin looking thing. And this is a Games Workshop, definitely trademarked creature, the Famir. Even if they had worked with GW to bring this game back and do it together, they would have left these dudes out of the game. You can look up why. So they had to replace the Famir, and probably a good thing that they did. But yeah, we got this like sea monster looking guy. I don't know what he is. I haven't looked in the quest book to see what they're called. So old Hero Quest had open doors and closed doors, and they've kept that, but instead of cardboard, it's hard plastic. Here's the old doorways, which were just a little piece of cardboard that you took in and out of these little plastic door stands, and you could swap them around. Like you had when you opened the door stayed open the rest of the game, so then this open door portal would go where this closed door is. So the new ones are just looks like injection molded plastic. It feels like the same plastic that they make the WizKids minis out of, and I'm sure it probably is. It's kind of soft. It's kind of flexy. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of that so far, especially if the miniatures are made out of this same stuff. That's going to mean that there's going to be a lot of bent swords. So yeah. So there's your doors. Look how much prettier that 1990 piece is than this. I mean, sure, you could paint this up and make it look cool, but that takes a lot of work. All right, so the ubiquitous Hero Quest furniture. Everybody's seen this stuff that's been in the game industry any kind of time. You got bookshelves, cabinets, the fireplace, the Tomb of the Night, and their tomb actually opens up. That's kind of cool. The other one did not. So, new bookshelf is actually... compared to the old bookshelf. Obviously the old bookshelf is just a cardboard print that you had to fold up and put in the little plastic holder at the top. And they had little things you could add, like you got little skull packs, and it looks like they've done the same. And they've given you little sprues of skulls you could clip off and glue to your furniture as you please. Whereas the old ones, there's a little peg hole here, and these little rats and skulls that you got had pegs that you just stuck them in there, so they could only be in 2 locations on this, whereas this you could stick that little skull anywhere you wanted. So that's nice. This is nice. I mean, it's a big old chunk right now, but it's still that kind of soft plastic. But you could paint that up and make it look like whatever you wanted. Looks like they've got the rats up here. Having a hard time getting them out. I got big clown hands. I kind of like the upgraded plastic with the option to paint. Here's the old fireplace, 1989-90. Once again, it's been around for 30 years, so it's banged around in that box for a long time. So my fireplace is kind of sad, kind of bent. Whereas this fella ain't going nowhere. But you don't get the portrait of the king over it here. You got to paint your own portrait and do your own fire effects. So take your pick on what you like. That's pretty cool. But I do like the new hard plastic. And then the treasure chests, which are the new treasure chests, obviously. So part of the fun of the old Hero Quest was putting all this stuff together. And when you're 9 years old, it's kind of difficult. Had to have my dad help me on some of it because I was stupid. I'm still stupid. Ask my father. He'll tell you. This is nice that there's no assembly required for any of this, so that's cool. And all the furniture kind of continues as such. The old alchemist table here, my favorite piece for a long time, but I think I lost my scales to the sands of time somewhere. But you could, you know, kind of set it up wherever you want. You could put your bottles here. Like I put a rat here. You could have put the bottles there. So what was nice about this one is the old one is it was kind of a little bit modular, whereas this one clearly is what it is what it's going to be, and you got to paint it up. But the new one's definitely going to be a little more durable. The Wizards book, this old one, a little bit harder plastic, whereas this new one is that soft plastic, like I said. So this stuff's really flexible. I'm not the biggest fan of that flex, but then again, these could break off a lot easier. So the next thing we got in the Kickstarter were the first two original expansion, which was Return of the Witch Lord and the Keller's Keep. Anyway, we'll see what these look like. Start with Keller's Keep. Quest book. And doesn't look like any new sculpts on the miniatures here. Same sculpts as the original box set. Maybe a little, no, same. It's just a different, just another female orc pose. And the same special portal door. And the same door here. And then we've got Return of the Witch Lord. I think Witch Lord was the first one I bought as a kid, and then I got Keller's Keep later. I don't remember. It was allowance money. Gives you more skeletons. They didn't change the sculpts up. You just get more of them, so those are the same. More skeletons, more zombies. Literally all the same. No changes in the minis. Still the same sculpts as the basic box with the addition of the new tiles, the new magic items, and the different doors. I will say I like the way the packs kind of fit together. That's something they got over the old ones where it was just an empty box and everything just kind of rattled around against each other in there. And this was the supposedly Kickstarter exclusive upgrades that we got for doing the Pulse. I say Kickstarter. It's Hasbro Pulse. It's Hasbro's version of Kickstarter, so they can pre-fund games even though they're a multi-billion-dollar company. But, you know, whatever. We won't go into that. As with a lot of these exclusives that end up not being exclusives, I somehow doubt this is going to stay exclusive, especially with Hasbro's penchant for cash grabs. So, but anyway, we'll check it out. And this is the cool part. This is the only reason I did this Kickstarter, was because it's three new quest packs, three pretty chunky quest books. And they're written like Joe Manganiello wrote the quests for this one. Tio Sabadia wrote this one, and Stephen Baker wrote the quest for these. More dice, some new characters to play because the player characters are in red. So you've got some new character options, some new card options, a couple of new monsters, and what really was cool was the original heroes in this game were all male characters. There's the dwarf, the elf, the wizard, and the barbarian. So the new one has given you female versions of the four characters. And they've given you this dude, I forget his name, he's a knight that is captured in the game. And in the old game, you only had a little token to represent him, but he's a dude you got to rescue and escort out of the dungeon in one of the, I think it's like the second or third mission. He's Sir something. I'd have to look that up later. But I thought that was cool that they gave you a little figure to represent him. But they did do female versions of the 4 player characters. So that's pretty neat. So we got female barbarian, female dwarf, female wizard, and they did a male elf in this. So the base elf is female, the alt sculpt one is male. Okay, cool. You got the knight that you're rescuing, so he's kind of a cool piece. He's got a torch. They literally just did kind of a head pose swap. It's the same character. It's identical. Like it's like literally, damn, these faces are so bad. You would literally have to go through and fill all of these gaps, like in where they put it together with plastic putty. And the glue overruns all over the place. And last but not least, the Kickstarter exclusive minis. Hasbro Pulse mini exclusives. So it looks like they added a bard, a warlock, a druid, and a wizard. We already had a wizard. I guess we got a different kind of wizard this time. So they added 4 different character classes and 2 artifacts. We got warlock spells, another equipment, some more bard spells, equipment, and then I got druid spells. So they added more spells to the game, some more equipment, some different stuff. So that's kind of cool. That's a nice quality of life. Now we got some different miniatures. We got 4 different character models here. We got, looks like a orc bard. I'm assuming that's the druid, the warlock, and then the wizard. They give you some zombies, some different sculpts on some skeletons, which is nice. But perfect example of flexible plastic at work. We didn't sculpt the model enough or well enough to clear the base because he's supposed to be holding this sword behind him like he's in an attack pose, like he's getting ready to swing. So the model has sunk down to its base level and conformed to its back. So we now have a wibbly staircase-shaped sword. Different sculpt on the abomination. I can't tell if they're going for a Sagwin/Cthulhu look or what. They changed the weapon on the Dread Warrior from a big mace to a sword, but as we can see, it's still got a C shape to it, and you'll be lucky to keep that to ever stay straight, even with a heat gun. Lich character, or sorcerer character, another alt sculpt. That looks pretty good. Gargoyle number 2. Neat sculpt. Face is a little hollow. At least there's not a bunch of glue on this one. A dragon. Not sure which class line he's in. These are all new. But once again, we got glue running down the side of his body. I mean, I don't know what else I expected from Hasbro. I was hoping they would do this one right. Clearly, I was wrong. I know I started this saying I'm a little biased for my old nostalgia, but I don't think they could have phoned that shit in any harder. The materials look great. The miniatures are just hot shit. The 1990 miniatures are better. Well, it's just a board game, Wayne. Yeah, it's a board game that's north of $100. Not to mention whatever they're going to charge for these expansions when they come out, because this is going to mass market. They've already put out the emails and notices that this is going to be in mass market. So I'm going to be selling this in my store. And it's just a box of disappointment. If you're just here to play a board game and you don't care about the miniatures, it's great. It's fantastic. But I'm going to give it a C+ as far as quality goes, because, I mean, I should know that. It's Hasbro. Anybody who knows anything about Hasbro knows that if they can cut a corner, they're going to cut it. So anyway, thanks for listening to me complain. Hopefully we'll see you next week and we'll do something fun. Bye.